kia ora, welcome back. This is week 2 of the series that I'm making where I'm sharing my journey stepping back into full-time business. So, last week I felt was so productive, and I was worried because I'm a human design projector that I was, you know, gonna burn out. uh, but I guess when you're doing what you love and when you're doing what's correct, that that's not the case. When you're using your energy correctly and where you've been invited, it really does matter, because it's like when you're a human design projector and you're doing things that you've not been invited to do, and you're heavy lifting and you're forcing, it can get really heavy. But I achieved a lot last week, and I'll share a few actions that I worked on, and I felt really good about them. I went to sleep at night like really fulfilled, and had more energy for the next day as well. So yeah, just like going where it was correct, and where I'm staying in my lane pretty much. When I was staying in my lane, everything like went smoothly, and I didn't feel like I was burning out. So yeah. Okay. Joys of living on a main road. Beep beep. Hello. G'day. We had someone walk past our house last night at like 11:30, and we were kind of playing cards, and um they like yelled out, and we were like, "Who's there?" And they were like, "Your mom." We were like, "Whoa." Joys of living on a main road. Anyway, focus. So, last week, some of my wins for last week was getting clear on my financials. So I have a revenue and forecast spreadsheet that I've used for the last 9 years. But when I was in full-time business previously, from the years of 2019 through to 2021, that's where I really used this resource in my business, because I had to know where I stood. But when I was employed, it's somewhat different, because you've got that safety net, and you don't need to organize a whole lot. Like, you're not bringing in that revenue yourself completely. So I would check this revenue and forecast tracker when I've been employed, maybe every 3 or so months, just to make sure that my expenses were, somewhat in order. Like, I didn't have crazy subscriptions that I didn't remember. It was just a bit of just a refresher of where I stood. So it was good to come back in here last week and really drill down and have a look at every cent of where I was spending, going back through my accounts and making sure that anything that is coming out of my account on the regular, each month, was in the spreadsheet. So I know exactly what my personal expenses are and what it costs for me to live, as I'm living now. And I know exactly how much it costs to run the operations of my business. And it gave me an opportunity to do an audit as well, to audit what wasn't necessary, to audit what could be simplified, or where I could find cheaper alternatives. Because when you are creating your own income and when you're starting a business, um, you need to keep your expenses down, whilst you do the work to build your revenue up. Okay. By the way, none of this is my financial advice, okay? I'm not an accountant. I am just, I have my own business, and I've been experimenting for a while, so this is just what I do. So it was really good to actually see those numbers specifically, because I've got clarity. Now, one of the pillars in the awareness model that I use to help me stay focused, one of them is action. And you'll see that on all of my YouTube videos and reels, my content, right? There's 3 pillars: awareness, acceptance, and action. Well, it's recently just been changed to action, probably because it's somewhat of a value right now, and it just makes sense that it's action. But the sub pillars of what make up action, especially in my line of work, being a service based business, and being online, um, having clarity is like the first thing. Having clarity of what our numbers look like, where we stand financially at the moment. Um, Clarity, knowing what we're doing out here, right? That's one of the sub pillars of taking action, and the other two are you got to have confidence in what you're doing, um, and certainty in yourself, and you've got to be consistent. Those three took us came to a standstill whilst I was working full time, um, because I chose it that way, right? And now I'm choosing to step back into full time business, and so I need to sharpen these things all up. Um, so yeah, having that clarity around what I'm about to take action on empowers me to stay solid. So that was a win, getting that all in order. The second thing was moving into my message map. So another spreadsheet that I was in the weeds on over the week was actually mapping out what my message sounds like who am I actually speaking to, and what it's going to sound like to them. Okay, this is important because I'm not speaking to everybody, and this was me for a long time. No, I want to help everybody, right? But part of this strategy, part of this approach of going back into full-time business is being realistic that you don't have something that appeals to everybody. You are not someone that appeals to everybody. And it's taken me years and years to actually get with that kaupapa, actually get with that program. Because, I wanted to be liked by everybody. But the truth is that there are certain people that are going to find what I'm speaking about valuable. And that's it. And there are just others that are not. Now, I didn't like that reality. I don't like that hard truth. Even though it's like 101 in business, I didn't like it. I thought that I was different and I can speak to everybody. And I learned the hard way that, well, if you try and speak to everybody, you're going to end up being heard by nobody. Because that in itself creates inconsistency, because if you're trying to talk to everybody, it's either too general or you're talking about a whole different range of things and it's just not relevant to anybody. So yeah, I learned that the hard way, and I've known it. I've watched myself doing this, and basically, but not so basic. We do what we value, and we don't do what we don't value. And on some level, I didn't value being in business. I was in business full time for 2 years. I made revenue. I paid my bills every month for 2 years. With Maru's help, yes, we still went halves and all of that. And, my income wasn't a consistent monthly income. So, sometimes he would have to, cover the things that were more regular, but then my income would come in not so frequently, but in larger amounts. So I've been on that journey, and after 2 years, I think I just stopped valuing it because of how much I was forcing it, maybe, or how much I was learning on the fly and just trying to figure everything out, plus generate revenue, plus actually do the delivery of what I was selling, and it was just full on. And I was like, somebody give me a job, universe, give me a job because I'm tired, you know? So back then, I guess I, hand on heart, stopped valuing the journey of being in business. However, after being employed for the last 3 or 4 years and having clients hit, making the work that I do with clients less of a focus, and then having that situation happen with the two jobs, and really getting a real eye opener, even though these things were already there, but when it happens to you, it's different, and just seeing how the corporate world sort of works and seeing those values in that moment. And if you don't know, you can watch the first video, but essentially I resigned from one job to take another. Um, but then it was taken off the table, so I sort of lost 2 jobs in one day. So, that point's dramatic. There's more conversation happening, but essentially that's what happened in one day. And just the vibes I was getting, corporate's always gonna do what corporate does. And I was like, okay. And what are you gonna do, Benioni? And so here I am, right? So at this point in time, I'm still employed and I'm having discussions about my options and things like that, because I got clear during that process that ultimately doing the work that I do in the world, working one on one with people and taking them on a journey to be their best self, um, and to create, some calm and some harmony and clarity in all the chaos. That's what I love to do. So I want to do that. So I got really clear on my messaging, and so I've got the spreadsheet where I'm like mapping out the different types of conversations that I would potentially be having online. So that's all sort of it's I reckon I'll still be working on that the week, like this week coming. Um at this point in this part of the world, um in so-called Australia, here down in the southern hemisphere, it is Easter weekend and Anzac weekend coming up as well. So a few public holidays, and last week I just really wanted to switch off and kick back. So on Thursday, that was me. I was done. And on Friday I just hung out with whānau, family, friends, and yeah, we had a good old time. I was the absolute life of the party, as I always am. And yeah, like, had a good long night. And then the next day kind of just gathered together, had food, like food, and just having good time and just unwinding and relaxing, you know what I mean? Dancing, like having a drink, like just having a laugh. I laughed so hard on the weekend that I damn near pissed myself. Um, and just being in that state of, and no, I wasn't drunk. It was just so funny. It was just so funny what we were like talking about and bantering about playing cards, that we all couldn't breathe and we were just like absolutely hysterical. And that's the level of joy that I wanted to make room for this weekend, because whānau and friends and having, laughs that make you like piss yourself. Like, I literally was so scared that I pissed myself. I got up off the table and I was like, I gotta go and check my situation here, because I think I just pissed myself. And then everyone started cracking up even more. Luckily I didn't, but I really did need to go to the toilet. But that level of joy, that level of of delight, that's what I wanted to make room for this weekend. And when you one of my actual like funny goals, and what I shared with Maru was, so I'm gonna start drinking more this year. Maru doesn't drink. But and I don't drink often. Maybe like once every 3 months, if that. Very rare. But when I do, I'm the life of the party. And I was like, I'm gonna start drinking because, like, I just really relax and I just really have a good time. And it's not that I can't be myself without alcohol, because y'all know I'm on social media and everywhere. Like, I be myself whether or not, I'm drinking. So, and that's why I don't really need to drink. But when I do want to do it, I want to do it and I want to love it and I want to enjoy it. But I must say, because I just chill the fuck out, like, completely. Like, I'm on another level of out the gate, like, joyousness. So I was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I don't really go through with it, but just like times like these where I decide, yep, I'm gonna have some time out and have a good old time. Because honestly, I don't drink much because I can't be dealing with these hangovers, man. So that's actually why I don't drink much. So Easter, I've got 4 days here. Like, let me drink on the middle one, and then I've got, a couple to recover. that's sort of my game plan. Everything's strategic around here because I really, these hangovers be getting me. Anyway, um, I made a lot of room for joy. And, we work hard, we play hard, we rest hard, we love hard, we do all of that hard. Do all of that equally so that it doesn't become hard. I could have used Easter and the time that I had in Easter to keep building up this messaging map. Right now it's like 7 columns deep, it's not really built out. I could have finished my book that I was supposed to finish a long time ago. Right? I could have forced all these things. I could have used this time wisely, right? And if you're listening to this on a podcast, I just put my fingers up and did quotation marks. Wisely. I could have used my time wisely. But for me, you got to make time for those that you love. You've got to make time to laugh. You've got to make time to, do what you love doing. Right? It sounds like like I was just out partying, but on the Friday night, me and my sister, we went down to the beach. We went for a long walk, and then we ended up in the space where we want to share our Polynesian movement down on the beach, on the grass, and get people into their bodies. And so we did that. We did that on Friday. We got some awesome footage of us doing that. We just had a good time. We had a good time in the sun. We went for a swim. We took baby for a swim. We had some good lunch. And then, Saturday, Auntie had a party. And then Sunday, we had some good food and we played cards and and we laughed and we pissed ourselves and all the rest of it. It's all about encompassing all of it. And I mean, me last time round in business was sitting down using every moment possible to work and to try and get this thing off the ground. I ain't trying to do that this time round. I'm trying to make time for laughing. I'm trying to make time for, taking walks and moving and being with the people that I love and, balancing without like burning out because I'm trying to force something so hard. So that's what I made a lot of space for over the weekend. So that was a good, 3-4 days. Just being in life, really. So this week I'll continue on with the messaging map. What else am I going to do this week? I'm also going to have another weekend that looked like this weekend, probably because it's another long weekend. And yeah, I'm just going to enjoy life. I don't really know what I'm going to be doing this weekend. All I know is some of the whānau are coming over. And we're just going to be in each other's company, and I'm going to do what I can do during the week. So messaging map is important to keep me kind of consistent, and it's easy for me to speak on things quickly. So I'll continue to do that to make my job easier. Another reflection was just today, I prepared 30 meals. I started at 10 a.m. this morning. I started like unpacking the fridge, went down to the shops after like building out my plan, my structure for what I was going to cook, and I knew I needed to make 30 meals so that for 3 adults would have 2 meals a day. Lunch and dinner sorted throughout the week. So I got that all done. I finished up about 4 o'clock. So yeah, it took me a good chunk of the day because it was my first time doing it. And there was a lot of unknowns. But for example, this time I know that exactly how many containers the rice cooker fills, all of that stuff. So there's a lot less unknown. And I guess this relates to business. So there's things that you just don't know, but you have a go. And then you know. And then you do the next thing. And then you know. Right? So I prepped a whole lot of a whole lot of food, so that our busiest days where we're like, go, 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 this, that, we've got a lot of things to juggle, we don't have cooking to worry about. It's all done, And because we're all unique, From a human design perspective, when you're hungry, eat. You know, whatever you're feeling, there's different options in there. Choose one, right? Eat when you want to eat. Go eat where you want to go and eat. Um, do your thing, right? In the week, do your thing, and no one's got cooking, cleaning to worry about. And for me, um, I'm very methodical, I'm a very logical being, and I love creating. I love creating, right? Um, and so for me, putting together those meals and having that like production line going on, having my sounds blasting, like that was therapeutic for me on a Sunday. And yeah, so that's what I got done to help this week, ahead. And for me, it solves a few things. Obviously, it gives time back in the week, but it simplifies eating. Now, I'm an island girl. Like I'm a island Maori girl, right? And I love my kai. I love my food. So when I cook like I'm cooking for the marae. If you're not Maori, that means I cook forgetting that I'm only cooking for 3 people and I'm cooking for 8. And so when I'm cooking, there's always heaps. And because I love my kai, you know, it's easy to like, you know, have that plate and then go up and get another one because it tastes yum because I am a good cook. But that's not good for my being, right? It's not all the way necessary. Even though my mind might like the taste, I might be full. And I'm really like in my era of like, you know, I'm mindful about this shit, right? So a win for me is that, well, you've got one dish for lunch and you've got one dish for dinner. Like, and it's, you know, I'm not trying to get these like little Chinese containers. We got the like realistic ones, you know, not the big ones, but we got the realistic size Chinese container, right? And it's a decent kai. It's a decent amount. And for me, I would usually probably eat 2 of those, you know, if I'm cooking. I always have seconds. Um, and so this time it's like portioning and like, you know, having that discipline around what I'm eating as well. Not gonna lie, I had 2 Easter eggs after dinner, but you know, there's like 1,000 Easter eggs lying around, and fucking why not? So, anyways, portions. I'm like, that's a win. Money, right? Being able to cook things in bulk. Like I spent all up for everything, and it was my first time, so I was not even knowing exactly what I needed. I spent $160, and that's including the containers that cost me $26. So effectively $130 to feed 3 adults lunch and dinner for a week. I mean, I don't know about you, but that feels like I'm winning. And yeah, I feel like I'm winning. So that's helped me prep for the week ahead. Excuse me. All right. Just have a breath. I forgot I can edit these videos and that I can actually have a breath. Oh, speaking like I'm like the camera's gonna run away. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. Ko Māori e koutou. Yeah, have a beautiful week ahead, and I'll see you around. I'll chat to you when I chat to you next week. All right, ka kite.